Hello everyone, and welcome back to the next installment of our Korok Seed Master Mode Challenge. And today, things have taken a turn for the cold, and the next couple episodes are gonna be just like that because we've got some chilly Korok seeds to track down. So let's make our way over to the first couple of seeds of today's video, and as we do so, make sure to check and see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not, go ahead and fix that, as I bring videos to you on a daily basis. And if you found today's video helpful and or enjoyable, please feel free to leave a like. Now, seed number 761 of our overall adventure is actually down in this canyon. It's in a little bit of a warmer area, and it's just a simple rock hanging out on a ledge that we can lift off of the poor little guy trapped underneath it, grab the seed as our reward, and then drop it right back down on top of his head before continuing on to seed number 762. 762 is going to be a rocky outcropping that we'll need to bomb away, and that is hiding a rock underneath it, much like the last seed that we found. And upon collecting the seed from here, we'll want to continue out about as quick as we can. As you can hear the sounds in the background, that we are just on the cusp of a blood moon. Seed number 763 of our excursion up here in the wasteland tundra is a flower pattern, or a flower path that we'll need to follow through these trees. This one's pretty easy to track down. It doesn't go up and over things, and the path of the flower remains visible as you track it down. So as far as the follow the flower puzzles, it's one of the easier ones out there, at least from the ones that we've looked at up to this point. Seed number 764 is going to be an acorn that's lodged in the trunk of a tree, and I like to challenge myself a little bit to using bombs to try and grab these to help conserve a couple of arrows where I can. That first blast that you saw, though there were a couple of blasts that preceded it, didn't do much. The second blast overshot slightly, and so I then had the idea to grab the bomb and come back here to the back side of this log. And upon throwing it out to the front side, its blast radius does encompass the acorn to the point where it did shatter, and we can collect the seed from this point before moving on. Seed number 765 is going to be a magnesis puzzle. We'll just need to move this magnetic orb into the well, and I'm panicking a little bit because I've got this big moblin bearing down on me with a pot lid and a soup ladle, and even though those are the weakest swords and shields in the game, or weapons in the game, I don't like dealing with the silver moblins because they still hit pretty hard. So we'll move right on along to seed number 766, which is going to involve these snow boulders, which we need to roll down the hill into that hole. But you can't just chuck them off the edge because, well, they break on impact. So what instead you'll need to do is kind of walk it down the ledge, and then you can gently set it down on the ground and allow gravity to do the rest of the work there. Now, because I am using the Great Flame Blade for my cold resistance, you do notice that the boulders do melt a little bit as I'm working with them, but they still are in fair enough shape to roll into that hole and get us the overall need that we're expecting from them. Seed number 767 is going to be atop a lone mountain peak. You can see Vametto over there in the background of the sky, kind of circling around the Rito village. And we have collected the seed from here, so we'll want to get down off the top of this mountain and into a cave. And this is the cave that one of the shrines is located in, the Lano Ku Shrine. And there is a rock just kind of hanging out on the backside of the shrine that you'll want to pick up. We won't be entering the shrine today, and that is because, well, we aren't doing that with the nature of the challenge that we're doing. But we do have enough clearance to grab the Korok seed from back behind it and move out into the open once again. This one is going to be in a slightly warmer setting, or a slightly warmer area, where we'll need to climb up this dead tree that's in the middle of this lake, overseeing the shrine that we were just near. And upon reaching the top of that tree, we can inspect the fairy lights, grab ourselves the seed, and move right on along to the lily pad diving puzzle that is just a short climb away from where we once were. Fortunately, this is not frigid water, and so we do not take damage in it as we would have previously. Seed number 771 is going to be another flower path that we need to follow. This one is actually a climb that we'll need to do along this archway. And the flower eventually does make its way to the top of the bridge where we can finish out the path and collect the seed. From this point, you can go ahead and leap right up to the top and interact with the final flower to gain your reward before moving on to the next seed, which for us is going to be seed number 772. And this one is, again, a little bit lower on the mountains. It's a lone rock that's sitting out on a ledge that we can lift off. And that's a pretty common thread that we've seen with a lot of these rocks scattered around the land of Hyrule. But we are still doing pretty well, making very nice time. And we can continue right along into seed number 773, narrowly avoiding a shot from this bokoblin wielding ice arrows, which is never fun. I really don't like to have to deal with that guy. But he oversees seed number 773, which is back behind this canyon type river that's running through here. And you could get a little bit closer to it and take less shots, but this is an easier vantage point to make that shot from, and we were able to pull it off without too much of a difficulty, so I really can't complain at the end of the day. We can then move right along to seed number 774, and we are being pursued by an ice keese. And I'm a little bit above the rock that we're going to need to lift, and I'd never really seen what a keese does when you change elevations rapidly, but they do follow after you. They will kind of lower themselves or raise themselves up, providing they know exactly where you went and didn't lose interest in you from losing line of sight. So as soon as we get this rock here, we'll need to give him some shelter and then move right along swiftly because that ice keese is still hot on our tail. Seed number 775 is going to be another balloon, this one at the mouth of a river, and this one's a very easy shot to take as soon as you are on firm ground. I mean, you could have used an aerial shot if you really wanted to, but for me that wasn't necessary because it just seemed a little bit excessive. And then we can leave this guy to hang out where he's at and move on to seed number 776, which involves a flying puzzle. And the solution to this puzzle is a little bit different. I assume that you're meant to use Rivali's Gale, or you can use Rivali's Gale to get a little bit extra height, but I needed to climb up onto that tree and leap off the trunk at a higher angle in order to interact with the lights, but you do have enough time to do so, so it's not the end of the world if you don't have the height to get it without Rivali's Gale. Seed number 777, you'd think this would be a lucky seed, but instead it is an ice flow that we will need to slowly melt down, and it's being guarded by a silver Lizalfo, and I don't like those guys at all, especially because this one does not have a melee weapon, he has a bow. And so don't mind me as I just kind of cower behind this ice flow and wait for it to melt its way down. And the reason that this is working again is because I have the Great Flame Blade equipped as my cold resistance. So we'll just kind of adjust ourselves and experience this rather unflattering camera angle as we wait for the iceberg to melt down. Now you can expedite that process if you were to swing your weapon, if you were to light a campfire, have a torch. There's a bunch of things you can do to speed that process along, but I didn't want to draw any unnecessary attention from that silver Lizalfo, so we'll just do it as is and move on to seed number 778, which is going to be another tricky bow shot. This one is up quite a bit higher, and if you get too close, you'll have to deal with the little stone taluses or the ice taluses that are down below, as well as a couple of ice keys that oversee this cave that this Korok was hiding at the apex of the opening. But after taking the shot, we will have claimed the seed from this locale, and we can move on to yet another ice flow for seed number 779. And this is going to involve, well, more patience, as you've probably guessed, as This one I probably could have taken the route of lighting a campfire or doing something else, but it gives me some time to edit down the graphics that you see appearing over on the left-hand side of the screen. So I don't mind waiting and letting the Great Flame Blade just passively do its work. And it doesn't consume any of the durability off the Great Flame Blade either, so that's always a win. As soon as that ice flow ruptures, we can interact with the fairy lights and collect our reward before moving on to the final seed of today's segment, at least, which is seed number 780, which is a simple dive into a ring of lily pads. Though before I do so, I am going to create a ice flow with the Cryonis ability in order to hoist myself up out of the water once I have collected this seed. And that is all there really is to it. So we'll just claim seed number 780, and we will see you in next week's episode for seeds number 781 through 800. We are just about done, and I hope you've really been enjoying this series. So thanks again for watching, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day.